That's not a real word. Don't use that tone of voice with me. Dear Tim and Moby, how do I figure out what the tone is in a story? I don't get it. Signed, Tom. Tone is something that helps convey the emotion you should feel when you read or hear a passage. In general, tone reflects how the narrator or author feels about his topic. Often, it means the same as talking about the tone of someone's voice. Someone can sound angry, or frustrated, or exhausted, or happy, or excited. There are tons of tones. In a piece of writing, however, an author conveys these emotions through his words and writing style. For example, you can usually sense a piece's tone by examining the narrator's vocabulary and syntax, the way we put sentences together. Well, let's look at this passage. My eyes were red with rage, and I couldn't keep my feelings in any longer. I slammed my fist down on the table and demanded he give my money back, or else. Thanks. Anyway, we can definitely tell that the tone here is angry. Words like rage, slammed, and demanded tell us how the narrator's feeling. It's important to remember that you can say the same thing in different tones. Just one word can be said in hundreds of ways, each expressing a different tone. Here's an example. Thanks, I mumbled sarcastically, rolling my eyes at him. Thanks, I shrieked, and ran to give him a great big hug. In each case, the writer sets a different tone. In the first example, the tone is, sarcastic, like the author describes. What do you think about the second one, Moby? Right. The diction, or style of speaking, and the exclamation points tell us that the tone is enthusiastic or excited. Well, mood is a little different. It's the general atmosphere of a piece of writing and the overall feeling the reader gets from the piece. A mood might be romantic, mysterious, dark, lighthearted. It could be almost anything. The writer creates the mood not only by establishing characters and plot, but by describing the setting. Setting is the physical surrounding in a story or article, where and when it takes place, and what kind of things are in the background. In fact, the setting often reflects the mood without our even realizing it. Let's read this passage. It was cold, rainy, and dark, like always. She sat by herself in an unlit room, counting the raindrops on the window. Yeah, the mood is pretty gloomy. The gloomy surroundings mirror the gloominess of the story. The narrator isn't telling us that in words, like he's not saying it was gloomy, but we get an overall feeling of gloominess when we read the passage. Even though they're often similar, a story's mood can be very different from the tone. Something may have a very serious tone and a silly or comical mood. Okay, let's read this passage. Maria was ready for what she was sure would be the greatest night of her life. Tears leapt to her eyes as she thought of the lonely night she'd spent praying that this moment would finally arrive. With quivering hands, she lifted her pet rabbit, Buster, out of its cage. It twitched its nose inquisitively, but otherwise kept still. It was finally happening. Maria was going to fulfill her dream. She was going to the prom with a bunny on her head. The narrator uses a very somber tone, which makes it seem like Maria is taking herself and her plans very seriously. But the mood is silly and absurd, and she's going to the prom with a bunny on her head. Ah, triple word score. Let's play again when you're in a more pleasant mood.